Good evening. Welcome to our live event for families of students with disabilities. My name is Debbie McAdams, and we are so happy that you've joined us tonight. In this presentation, we will cover what you can expect this school year as a parent of a student with a disability. This event is being recorded and families can access it at any time. We will also record this presentation in Spanish and post the recording next week. There is an opportunity for you to ask questions in the chat function. If we do not get to your question tonight, please know we will post a question and answer on the MNPS website. Again, we thank everyone for joining us tonight. We are joined by our leadership team. All their names are listed here. And we also are very excited that both Karen Harrison and Patricia Valadares will be presenting with us from STEP. STEP is an organization that stands for Support and Training Exceptional Parents. And we are very excited that they will be here with us tonight. At this time, I would like to introduce Dr. Adrienne Battle, our Director of Schools. I've had the privilege of working with Dr. Battle for many years, and in all of her roles within MNPS, Dr. Battle has always been a true advocate for students with disabilities. I did forget to mention that we have our cameras turned off because we're having difficult bandwidth problems. So it helps if we all have our cameras off to make sure that we continue with our presentation. So thank you, Dr. Battle, for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for that introduction, and thank you to the entire team for being here this evening. And good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us tonight. It's important to us that we're able to connect with you before this unusual school year begins, and that you have a chance to ask us questions so that we can get you the information you need. This is definitely a challenging time for everyone, so we want to bring clarity to you as frequently as we can. I'll let Debbie and her team get into the details, but I want to make sure you know that we value every student and we will teach and support every MNPS student. That is our commitment to you. I wish we didn't have to start school this way, but we're doing it because we know it's the safest option for everyone. And we are all going to make it work together because we're all in this together. Our students with exceptionalities are a priority for us. We recognize that starting in the virtual environment may be new, different, and maybe not even perfect. The services you're used to getting from us will continue, but in a new way. You'll still have your IEP or your 504 plan, but you also have a CLIP, a continuous learning individualized plan to guide how we implement those services and supports in the virtual learning space. And all of those services and supports will begin during the first week of school. We will continue our planning with you as a vital stakeholder to ensure that as soon as conditions allow, we can continue to increase our services to students either in the virtual model or face-to-face. I'm very optimistic that we will be able to move into face-to-face learning opportunities and supports in accordance with our current plan after Labor Day. MNPS fully intends to not only meet the requirements of a free and appropriate public education within IDEA, but to also keep the health and safety of our students in the forefront of our decisions as well. So thank you for entrusting us with your children. Thank you for advocating for them, and thank you for your patience as we start school together next week. Please know we have greatly missed our students. And so with that, Debbie, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Battle. We appreciate you joining us tonight. So for the remainder of our time today, some of the items we'll be talking about are our resources and how we can continue to stay connected. What to expect at the start of school. As Dr. Battle mentioned, our continuous learning individualized plans, our CLIPs, more information about supports, and we also will have STEP speaking to us about their return to school planning guide. At this point, I would like to turn it over to Karen and Patricia so you can share with the families more about STEP, who you are, and what you do.
Thank you, Deborah. We're really excited to be part of this presentation tonight. I'm Karen Harrison, the Executive Director of STEP. Got my favorite sugar cookies here beside me, so if you have to get a snack to get you through the hour, that's awesome. We are the Parent Training Information Center for Tennessee, and we are a nonprofit organization that serves families who have children and youth birth through age 26. And every state has a federally funded Parent Training and Information Center, and we are funded under the same law, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, that serves students with disabilities and provides for their rights to a free, appropriate public education. We have staff across the state, and you'll be meeting Patricia Valadares, who serves Middle Tennessee. We help families navigate special education laws and rights. We help them plan and review their IEPs and look at strategy planning and how to be effective partners in the process, and offer a number of resources that we'll talk to you about on how you can access our services, learn your rights, and prepare for discussions with your IEP team school teams. In addition to the services that we provide to parents, caregivers, and youth, we also believe in collaborating with schools and agencies to improve results for Tennessee students. So we do offer a number of services for professionals, including high quality in-service and professional development on a number of topics that you'll see there. And one of them is included family engagement. And in that family engagement work, we do information exchange sessions and try to help facilitate open communication between families and school districts. And we collaborate on family initiatives with districts, such as we're doing tonight, to roll out new information, put things into parent-friendly language, and just to overall work to increase those communication opportunities between schools and districts. Patricia is going to share with you what you see on our screen is our mission and our vision. She may be experiencing technical difficulties unmuting, so I'm going to go ahead and start, and if I see that she's able to unmute and speak to us, I will let her jump in there. Many of you already know Patricia. She's got a huge reputation as being a great advocate for families and youth in Middle Tennessee. So we serve families, youth, young adults, and those who are involved in their life, providing accurate, timely, and relevant information, and really focusing on equal access to quality education and connecting families to community resources. We believe that parents and caregivers are their children's best advocates, so we work with you to understand the processes, your laws, your rights, so that you can speak up as part of that IEP team. And we do work with a lot of youth to help them to be self-advocates. And we do realize that families and youth who are informed, empowered, engaged, can effectively collaborate as part of a team for services and supports that will lead to improved outcomes and success in life. One thing of note is that everyone that works for STEP is either a parent of a child or young adult with disabilities, they have a disability, or a family member themselves. So we really bring that perspective because we are also on this journey and have had IEP plans and 504 plans and navigated processes across the state with our children. So we really want to work to ensure a brighter future for children and youth in Tennessee, and our emphasis is on those with disabilities, special health care needs, and mental health needs. So this is a slide that talks about some of the ways you can access our services. And one of our most popular things that families love to do is get on the YouTube channel for STEP, and you can watch some short videos about how to participate effectively in the process, how to what present levels of performance look like, how to write good goals, many things that you can access there. We have a very active social media through Facebook and Twitter, and our events calendar, most of the things you see there right now won't be a surprise. They're virtual, but we do have still a lot of trainings happening, and our staff across the state are standing ready to provide training and to support families in any way that we can through this very unusual school year.
Thank you, Karen. I hope Patricia can get her phone working, because we know we love to hear from her also, but we appreciate you partnering with us tonight for this live event. So in addition to all the different ways you can stay connected with STEP, there are many ways to stay connected to Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools. If you are not already, please follow the social media accounts of MNPS in your school. The school's social media accounts can be found on individual school pages. You may also want to visit the MNPS Back to School website, which is noted on the last line of this slide. There is a very comprehensive virtual learning playbook for families located in the Back to School section. We would also like to point out that EFAC has published their own Facebook page and website. Tiffany Acuff is the new chair of the Exceptional Ed Family Advisory Council, along with Carolyn Schaffner will be co-chairing. We ask all families to join EFAC, and we are looking forward to hosting our first town hall in collaboration with the Exceptional Ed Family Advisory Council in mid-August. So we hope that you will all join us for that, and we will get out the date for that very soon. You will also want to update your information online with Family Portal. With Infinite Campus, which is our family portal, you can see real-time class and assignment, grades, homework, test scores, upcoming due dates, attendance information, discipline incidents, and more. It also allows for better communication between teachers and families through emails and mobile alerts. If you need an interpreter to access the Family Informational Portal, you can call the Family Information Center at 615-259-4636. Excuse me. So school starts August 4th, which is here before we know it. We will all be in a virtual setting, as everybody is aware. We wish this could be a typical back to school start. Due to the recent and sustained spike in COVID-19 cases in Nashville and Davidson County, MNPS has decided to start the 2020-21 year with every student in a virtual learning environment through at least Labor Day. As Dr. Battle mentioned, this will allow social distancing, mask mandates, and other measures to take effect and reduce the spread of COVID-19 before tens of thousands of students and staff return to our schools, which could spread the disease among our people and in the community if we aren't careful. MNPS is committed to a safe return for staff, students, and families. These are the MNPS safe return goals. We want to, 1, keep students and staff and their well-being at the center of our decision-making and actions. 2, provide high-quality, personalized learning opportunities that support the growth and success of each student, no matter if it is in person or virtual. Support the social emotional needs of the student and provide wraparound services for families in need. Provide transparent and consistent communication to our students, families, and educators. It is important to know that Metro Schools is here to support you and your family. We know that many families do not have a laptop for their child or Wi-Fi. It is critical for us to get these tools so that you can start online learning on August 4th. If you have not heard from your child's school about how to get a laptop or potentially Wi-Fi hotspots, please contact your child's school. If your child cannot access virtual learning through a laptop and a different device is needed, please let your teacher and school know, and we will work with them. You will hear these two terms often when we're talking about virtual learning: synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous is live sessions with the teachers. I tend to think of it as synchronous, same time, SNS. Asynchronous is pre-recorded lessons with the teacher where the student is working more independently. So synchronous is live sessions, asynchronous pre-recorded sessions. sessions. So what can you expect in virtual learning? As a parent of an MNPS student, you can expect social, emotional, and academic supports, including weekly one-on-one check-ins with a dedicated teacher navigator. The teacher navigator may be your special education teacher, or it may be somebody else who knows your student and is supporting your student. Weekly live lessons with your teacher and other class members will also occur. At the elementary grades, you'll have the core subjects of reading, writing, math, social studies, and science with enrichment in PE. At the middle grades, core subjects and electives. At the high school, core academic courses, including electives and AP courses, are available. Of course, accommodations and modifications will occur for students with disabilities and English learners. And in addition to equitable access to core content, students will receive their special education intervention and services as outlined in their IEP. As we mentioned, students will continue to receive access to core instruction, and they will also be receiving their special education services. Metro has developed the Continuous Learning Individualized Plan called the CLIP. Ty Hodak and Cassie Williams will go into more detail regarding the CLIP in the next couple of slides. CLIPs identify the mode of how MNPS will effectively implement the services and supports outlined in a student's IEP or 504 plan during virtual learning. Families and students will be part of developing the CLIP. Please reach out to your child's special education teacher about the CLIP. If you have not heard from your special education teacher or related service providers, please reach out to the school, or you can email eequestions@mnps.org. There are 3 different learning platforms that Metro Nashville Public Schools will be using for virtual learning. Grades K through 12 will use Schoology. Pre-K and some of our other providers will be using Flipgrid, and then we will also be utilizing Teams. You can receive training on these 3 platforms. In addition, there is a 1-pager for our families that explains exactly about each of these platforms. So we've had some questions about attendance, so we wanted to include that information in tonight's presentation. Online attendance is mandatory starting August 4th. Unlike the spring, students must participate every day in the online or virtual classroom offered by their schools. If your child is sick, you need to let the school know so they can mark your child's attendance as excused. For more information about the virtual attendance, you can go to MNPS.org playbook. This is again that virtual handbook that I had mentioned earlier. There's an entire section on attendance that can provide you with more information. But it's important to note that students attending remotely must log into Schoology by 11:59 every day. And we just ask that our parents and our teachers keep that open communication so that we can help if there's any concerns with this attendance policy. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ty Hodak. She will speak with us about how we're providing instruction, intervention, and services to students during virtual learning and provide some more detailed information about MNPS's Continuous Learning Individualized Plans. Ty?
Thanks, Debbie. Very excited to be here with you guys tonight. So given all students should have equitable access to core instruction, Debbie, thank you. So given that all students should have equitable access to core instruction, we have teams working on ways to support differentiation of core content. In addition to core content, students will receive intensive intervention and services that are outlined in their IEPs. MNPS is utilizing a combination of remote learning systems, as Dr. Battle has mentioned before and as Debbie went over. For students with disabilities, we are really going to be looking at a more precise way to combine remote learning systems so that teams can best meet the needs of your child. Some students will receive learning packets in conjunction with asynchronous learning, which is more independent, and synchronous learning, which is more direct instruction and intervention in addition to other support provided. So you'll be really looking for a combination of platforms and services and supports from your teacher. Also, students that have related service goals listed in their IEP, such as speech and language goals, will receive services through both synchronous and asynchronous virtual therapy. So, as we look at how to provide learning in a virtual environment, which is different for everyone, it is important to recognize that IEPs have been written for a traditional school setting. Although written for a school setting, services in a virtual setting will still be implemented as outlined on your student's IEP. If it is determined by parents, teachers, or service providers that services outlined in the IEP cannot effectively be implemented, then an IEP meeting should be convened to discuss how to meet the services listed in the IEP. That will take a problem-solving approach and requires an IEP team to do that. Nothing about the IEP process, could you go back? Nothing about the IEP process has changed, and we think that's really important and want to really hone in on that. All legal requirements and rules around the IEP process are still in place, and MNPS is following that. We are focused on how to deliver services virtually. Therefore, MNPS asks teachers and service providers to work with parents to intentionally think through how to implement IEPs virtually. Then we ask them to document those steps in a continuous learning individualized plan. So what is a continuous learning individualized plan? A CLIP is a plan to identify the mode or how MNPS will implement services and supports outlined in the student's IEP or 504 during virtual learning. MNPS wants an intentional, well thought out plan for each student. We know that things just do not happen on their own, so the need for intentional thought out plan was necessary. It's important to know more about the CLIP so everyone is clear of what CLIPs will and will not do. So we're going to run through that quickly. CLIPs will be written for the 2021 school year. They'll be updated each time an IEP occurs. They'll be updated when changes are necessary to the CLIP to implement in a virtual setting. Though they will identify support and services necessary for students with disabilities to have equitable access to core instruction. So it will definitely document your accommodations if modifications are necessary to access core. It also identify how related services will be provided. It'll identify how students will receive intensive interventions and will require parent and general education teacher input. CLIPs will not replace the IEP or change anything about the IEP. If changes to the IEP are necessary or some of the services in the IEP cannot be implemented effectively in a virtual setting, please convene an IEP meeting to discuss options on how we can best meet all services in a virtual setting. Again, we know this takes a team, problem-solving team, which is why we want to go back to the IEP process. CLIPs will not require an IEP team. However, teachers and service providers must develop the plan with families. If the family and the school cannot agree on the CLIP, then we want to again take that back to the IEP process, so an IEP meeting should convene. As we've been working with STEP and partnering on communication with parents, Karen shared an analogy that really helped her have a better understanding of the CLIP. So I'm going to turn that back over to her and have Karen go through the analogy she wants to share.
Thank you, Ty. So as I was saying earlier, that all of the STEP team are parents, and we have been on this journey as well, and we're also helping hundreds of families right now try to understand all 95 counties and their school plans that are rolling out. And when we are hearing new information and hearing about a new process and working to understand them, it's sometimes helpful to think about an analogy to compare with. So I was thinking that what MNPS is doing with the CLIP process is very similar to what a car dealership does. So bear with me just a moment, but this is an experience that most everyone can relate to. For instance, car dealerships know how many customers they have with cars that are going to need services each year. And MNPS knows they have over 10,000 students with IEPs who will need services according to their IEP when school starts. Car dealerships have information on how many cars are going to need a 10,000 mile service, how many a 30,000, and other services. And based on that information, they make sure they have mechanics available that are trained and ready, and different services and materials available to meet the need. If they aren't ready, it would lead to delays, frustration, and needs not being met. MNPS knows what's outlined in each student's IEP, who will need specific interventions, the therapies that are outlined, and other supports and services. They have been preparing teachers and working on getting a variety of different services and materials ready to meet the needs as students' IEPs are being required to be delivered virtually at this time. Think about your own experiences. You're having services done on your car. Before they provide any services, they talk over the options with you. For example, Michelin tires versus Goodyear tires, and you ask questions and you work with them to determine what's going to meet the need. If you don't agree with their service plan, you have options. That's very similar to what I see with CLIPS. As the Metro Nashville Public School process, they're getting ready to effectively serve students with IEPs and provide the services and support to them virtually. They've identified various virtual learning methods and other possible service delivery models and support that teachers are ready to deliver to help students work on making progress on their IEP goals. What approaches will be used for each IEP goal for your child will require a discussion with the teachers and service providers to review the options. For each goal and service in your child's IEP, they will suggest how services and supports can be effectively delivered to your child virtually to help your child make progress, because they know what's in the IEP and are familiar with the many different delivery types that they have working over the last few months. Parents will have discussions with teachers and therapists and again review the options and agree on how IEP services will be provided virtually. If there's not agreement, an IEP meeting will be held. Just like arranging for service for your car, ask lots of questions, look at what's being proposed, get a copy of everything in writing, and remember that once services begin, if things don't seem to be working as you and the teacher thought they would, you can have more discussions and make changes. Parents are required and essential part of this process, and the intent is to have discussions and determine together how a student's services can be delivered virtually to help make this very complicated and less than ideal situation as smooth as possible for families and students. And now we're going to hear a little bit more about the CLIPS and then get to all of those questions that I know you have and that we had when we were learning about this as well.
Thanks, Karen. So I know we've gone through a lot about the why, but we really wanted everyone to understand the intent. So we just want to reiterate a few points. So like Karen said, we needed and wanted an intentional plan for our students. We need to be prepared for how we can offer services virtually and wanted an intentional way to collaborate with families on a plan. We know IEPs are written for a traditional school setting and wanted a way to document how this will look virtually. We also knew if a plan that was being intentionally thought out could not be implemented effectively, that an IEP team needed to meet and problem solve how to implement services effectively in a virtual setting. So who's responsible for the development of the CLIP? Ultimately, the special education teacher and related service providers are the ones working with families and other teachers to develop the CLIP. It is a collaborative approach. Just like Dr. Battle has been saying, it's all hands on deck for all students. Our focus is on getting every student what they need as quickly as possible. Where will the CLIP be located? After the CLIP is completed and there's agreement, then it's uploaded to Easy IEP on the individual student's page. And when should the CLIP be completed? We have offered all teachers 4 days paid to work with families on CLIPs so that we can have an intentional how to implement plan in place prior to school starting. We want as many completed as possible. If services cannot be effectively implemented as outlined in the IEP, then an IEP meeting must be convened to determine how to meet all the services in a virtual setting. After that, then the CLIP is developed. Cassie is going to share with us some visual examples of what the clip looks like so that you're kind of aware if you have not seen them yet, which we're hoping you have been seeing them. But Cassie's going to run us through the visual of clips and show you what's in a clip.
Good evening, families. So the first part, I will walk you through the different sections of the clip and kind of go into more detail of what that looks like. The first section just collects demographic information about the student. It also prompts case managers to secure an interpreter if one is needed to ensure that all families can participate in the development of the clip. The second session outlines all the participants through the process. This could look like the general education teacher, your child's EL teacher, speech pathologist, principal, and the student. The second section identifies any anticipated needs for accessing virtual instruction based on the present levels and priorities outlined in the IEP. Some examples of needs could be technology specific to the student's needs, picture communication cards, communication devices. So whatever needs are addressed in that IEP, we want to document in this section. Also, we want to gather parent input to ensure that we provide as much support as possible. This is an opportunity for parents to share if they need additional school supplies, if they need support with accessing technology needs, if they have social emotional concerns for their child. We'll document it here to ensure that we get the proper supports to the family. The next section outlines all of the accommodations and modifications necessary to provide equitable access to core instruction in the virtual setting. And it also outlines how those accommodations and modifications will be provided. Some examples include read aloud, extended time, shortened assignments, prompting, task lists. And then we will take every service that's listed in the IEP and determine the mode or how we will provide that service. Will the service be provided? How much time will that service be provided synchronously, and how much will be provided asynchronously? There's also an opportunity for us to determine when and how therapies will be provided, as well as paraprofessional support. There's also the final section outlines whatever student supports equipment is needed in order for the student to be successful. Again, we want to make sure that parents are included in this process so that we can make sure that we are providing all of the supports necessary for the student to be successful in a virtual learning. Thank you. And again, we can't stress enough, if we know that the services cannot be effectively provided as outlined in the IEP, virtually, it is imperative that we convene an IEP meeting to discuss options and how we can best meet all services in a virtual setting.
Good evening, everyone. We are excited to be able to provide speech, language, occupational, and physical therapy, as well as hearing and vision services virtually. As discussed, the clip will be used to determine if the services will be synchronous or asynchronous. We will need to obtain parental consent for virtual therapy services, as these fall under telehealth. Under FERPA, schools may not generally disclose personally identifiable information from students' education records. We will be using Teams, which is a secured platform, but students will be grouped together, which is why we are seeking consent. You will find a link to the copy of the consent that you can review and return to your therapist. We will need a signed consent prior to the start of therapy. Any specialized equipment that a student needs will be provided. Our OTs, PTs, audiologists, hearing and vision specialists are currently working on this and will begin distributing items next week. Once virtual learning services begin, if you have any new concerns, please reach out to your teachers or therapists so a discussion can begin and any changes can be made. Each week, you will receive a weekly communication from your therapy service provider. It will It will be a short note highlighting any achievements and success from therapy that week and informing you what skills will be targeted the following week and materials needed. We met with our therapists and specialists today, and everyone is very excited to see your children and begin services. We can go. There we go. Where to go if you have a question or need support. You can reach out to your child's special education teacher or related service provider. You can contact your principal, assistant principal, any of the directors in the Exceptional Ed department, as well as anyone from our Exceptional Education Family Advisory Council. All the links are provided with contact information. Now we will turn it back over to STEP so they can share the Return to School Planning Guide. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to keep this very brief, but just wanted to let families know that we have put together a return to school planning guide to help families with questions that they can ask. There's worksheets that you can look at about your school plan and ask specific questions, how to look at where your child's progress, where they ended the school year, the reports of progress, and a data and observation sheet for you to share with the school team. Anything that you noticed as far as progress or regression or their needs or their ability to access services effectively online, and you can record all of those observations so you can be prepared to share that with the teachers and service providers. And then a worksheet that really fits into what we're talking about tonight is this service delivery piece. So if you'll slip to the next slide, I'm just going to give you a quick overview, and there are 4 steps to the Return to School Planning Guide, and each one has a worksheet with it that families can use, and STEP staff is standing ready to help answer some of these questions and help you to share effectively what your concerns are with the school and have those addressed. So as you can see, there's a space to gather information about the school plan and ask some specific questions about how will you be responsible and who will be responsible for collecting data or reporting, or what materials will you be required to collect. And you can ask for things such as visual schedules and other things that your children need. So if you'll visit the STEP website that's listed here, or 10step.org, it's right at the front of our website. You can download all of these, and we are standing ready, as I said, to help you navigate this time to get a free appropriate public education as it's listed in your child's IEP. There are some additional resources here. We had a lot of questions about compensatory services and what your child may or may not be entitled to. So the ARC of Tennessee partnered with us and provided a flow chart called What Did Your School Do in Spring 2020? And you can find that on our website as well. We have a copy of the Tennessee Department of Education School Reopening Toolkit that answers a lot of questions as well. An All About Me booklet to help share information if you're having new teachers that are coming into your child's life for this new school year. A copy, of course, of the clip. And then there's a back to school checklist that was put out by Family Network on Disability in Florida to help you think through, when there are choices given about in-person learning, how to share your concerns and some things to think about as you're making those very, very important decisions for your children. And finally, if you need to contact us, Patricia Valadares is the Director of Middle Tennessee Services, and families who need assistance in Spanish can contact her. And Joey Ellis works with our families who have children who are 14 and older that are working on their transition plans, which is another area of concern for families of how those transition goals will be implemented virtually as well. And so please contact us. You can call us on the 800 number or email us. We are available to help you as you navigate these services. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. We appreciate your time tonight. We have about 15 minutes left in our presentation tonight, so I believe some questions have come in. So Sonia, if you want to ask some of the questions that have come in, and anyone from the leadership team, or Karen or Patricia, if you want to engage in these questions too, we would appreciate it.
Okay. The first question: for a student with an IEP or 504 who has extended time during testing, such as MAP, how will this be handled during virtual learning?
I can start with that, and then someone else can jump in. So as Cassie kind of walked you through the visual, accommodations from the IEP will also be listed on the clip. And so if the accommodations are listed on the clip, as the student moves into MAP assessment, that accommodation is not only listed on the IEP, but also in the clip, and would then be used in MAP virtual testing. So MAP assessment will begin August 17th, and therefore feel free to reach out to your teacher and make sure that those accommodations will be put in place when your child is taking the MAP assessment. Does anybody else want to add to that?
Thank you, Ty. Will my child still earn credits during virtual learning?
Yes, all
Yes.
students will be entered into courses specific to their high school program of study in order for them to continue to work towards high school graduation requirements. They will also continue to receive the supports necessary to access those courses successfully.
When will IEP/CLIP meetings be held? I haven't heard from my rising middle schoolers SPED team yet, and I'm starting to get anxious.
So as we shared, our expectation was that parents would be notified prior to August 4th. We know some of our all of our teachers reported back to work today. There is a full day in service for teachers tomorrow. If the person who had that specific question, if they could reach out to us directly through eequestions@mnps.org and let us know what school your student attends. I know there's a lot of stress when a student is starting a new school, when they're transitioning from elementary to middle to high. So we want to make sure that we connect you with your child's team. So if you could please email us at eequestions@mnps.org, we will connect you with your team.
How do I get a review of an IEP for my son through STEP?
Karen or Patricia, would you guys like to take that?
Yes. So what you would need to do is call Patricia, and you can call our 800 number, 1-800-280-7837. Just leave your name and number, and we're pretty speedy quick about getting back with families and walking you through those processes. I also posted in the box, I'm not sure if everyone can see it, but someone asked for the link to the All About Me book and the family guides. So if we can get some assistance maybe in posting those for everyone, that would be fantastic.
Sure, and we will, we'll obviously this recording, people can access it at any time, but I know a lot of times people just want the PowerPoint also to go through. So we'll make sure that PowerPoint is posted on the MNPS website in the Students with Disabilities section of the website, so people can access the PowerPoint also. So Colleen, here's a question. How will the OTs, PTs, and SLPs, that's occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech and language pathologists, notes be given to parents?
Hey there. So each therapist will connect with the family prior to services beginning, and they will, you guys will decide the best way, whether you want it through an email, whether you want it shared through your child's school folder. So it will vary depending on what the parent and the therapist work out.
Okay. Please cover how students with IEPs with only social emotional goals will receive services. I'm concerned my son's IEP will not be met this year in a virtual environment. He's an only child. I'm a single mom who has to work.
Okay, this is Ty. I can start and then anybody can jump in. So a lot of our students have social emotional learning goals, and I can hear that concern. The expectation is that teachers are going to be working from the goals and the IEP, and a part of the clip would be how they're going to receive those services. So to me, there's plenty of opportunity to provide social emotional support to students through synchronous, so teachers working directly with the student, also in groups of students, and really, if additional support is necessary, then also teachers could refer students on, or you could refer your child on to work more directly with specialists that can help in that area as well. So there's lots of opportunities for teachers to interact to support students with social emotional goals. Does anybody want to add to that? If you do have concerns, please reach out to your teacher, and please share those concerns when your teacher reaches out to you to do the clip if they have not already, and just make sure that you're comfortable with the services that your child's going to be getting virtually in that area.
Okay. My child just started pre-K. I'm not sure where I begin to access the needs for a 504 and possibly an IEP.
Hey, Sonia, I can take this one. Please work with your child's pre-K teacher, and you guys can work together. Pre-K has creative curriculum, and there will also be gold that we can align with to see how your child is progressing, and you can share whatever concerns that you have, and then they can work at the building level and determine what next steps you can take in regards to the referral process.
Okay. Will Schoology have supports in it for my dyslexic child?
This is Cassie. So just like in a face-to-face sessions, general education teachers and special education teachers will continue to collaborate, and whatever accessibility features are needed for students will be provided, either synchronous or asynchronous. So Schoology, there can be opportunities for students to have text that is created for students to get read aloud. There are also opportunities for the accessibility features to be open where students can have the text enlarged. So special education teachers will continue to collaborate to ensure that all the accessibility features are available.
Okay. How are kids who receive homebound services going to be educated while on full virtual? Will a teacher go into the home?
I can take that one. Sonia, that's probably actually a good one for you too. At this point, because of where we are in our city, homebound teachers will not be reporting to students' homes. We will be providing homebound services through the virtual platforms, just as we're doing for all students. So at this time, no employees are going into students' homes.
Okay. My student's teacher said they can't review clips yet because they haven't able to get in touch with the SLP. What are you doing for a school with a new therapist who doesn't know my kid or even what is in a clip?
I can take that one. We met today with all of our therapists, and so we are getting therapists access to Easy IEP, and they are working within their school teams to review all the information, and our lead therapists are supporting all of our new hire therapists to help develop the clip, look at the IEP, review the IEP, and then they will work with the parent to get updated information, and we can move forward that way.
If we haven't heard from our child's teacher regarding the clip, what did we do?
I can take that one.
Okay, go ahead, Ty.
No, I was just, so if you haven't heard from your child's teacher yet, I think Debbie said that, of course, we want all the clips completed by August 4th. Today was, tomorrow's in-service day. So what you can do is reach out to your school, your principal, you can reach out to the teachers. But if you're not hearing from the teacher, you can also email the EE questions, and we can connect you with the teacher as well. So I don't know if anybody wants to add into that, but definitely begin reaching out to your school. And if you know who your child's teacher is, your child's teacher. And if not, then also email us, because we can help support getting you in contact and making sure that process is starting.
And also on one of the slides, there was a link to our big mass spreadsheet. So you can look at you can look at your school, you can look to see who the director from special ed is that supports your school, you can see who your EE coach is, who the SLP is, who the vision teacher is, who the school psychologist is. So if you click on that link, you can find out everybody who in the world of special education is supporting that school and your student.
My student is on the alternate assessment. How can they access the Florida school?
So just like during the school year, students access core content, and we would make accommodations and modifications. The Florida virtual is what we'll be using for our core content learning. In addition, we have also set out a request for proposal for a curriculum for students who are on alternate content standards. That will be going to the board for board approval on August 11th, and every teacher will have access to another curriculum that specifically addresses the alternate content standards. I don't know, Ty and Loranda, if you guys want to add anything to that?
Nope, that was great.
Will my child still work on IEP goals with help? Will my child get help in math and ELA individually?
So if a student has intensive intervention services in the areas of math and reading, the district has, pending board approval again on August 11th, we will have reading and math intervention platforms for students to receive their intensive intervention.
My child receives speech and OT services. What will this look like in a virtual setting? When should we expect the school to contact us?
So your therapist should be contacting you by Monday and Tuesday of next week at the latest. And it will really just depend on your child. So your services will be set up through the Teams platform. It could be one-on-one. More than likely, it will be in a group like it is during the school year for speech services. And the therapist will contact you and kind of go through a questionnaire, a simple questionnaire for updates, as well as letting you know what time they're scheduled for services.
What about students that have inclusion?
Students will still receive those services. Special education teachers and general education teachers are collaborating to determine how and when those services will be provided. That might look like the special ed teacher and the gen ed teacher co-delivering some synchronous lessons. And it also may look like the special education teacher making sure that all of the assignments are accessible and have all the accommodations necessary. Those services will continue to be provided virtually.
How will OT, PT, SLP notes be given to the parents?
Hi, again, we're going to let the therapist work with the families to decide the best way to share that information. Some families may want it in an email through their personal account. Some may want it posted on their child's page. So your therapist will reach out and you guys will just make a determination the best way to share that information.
Can a clip be changed after we sign it if we find that they need different services once virtual learning begins?
Absolutely. This is Ty. So as we outlined when we were going through the clips, anytime a change is necessary with a clip during virtual learning, if something's not working out and it needs to be adjusted, then you and the teacher and related service provider, whoever's involved in providing services to your child, would come together and adjust the clip. Of course, if it requires anything to be visited by the IEP, then you would call an IEP meeting and you guys would problem solve within the IEP process. So yes, nothing is fixed. As always, we're problem solving and everything's not going to be perfect. So if something's not working well, then you reach out to your teacher and have open communication of the changes or adjustments that need to be made.
Will a paraprofessional be available to work in the synchronous setting with my child if they need additional help or help apart from the large group?
Yes, the paraprofessionals will be providing virtual services to students. They will be involved in our full day professional development tomorrow. We have some special breakout sessions specifically for paraprofessionals, so we're excited to have that opportunity to work with them. I know I've had some emails from principals just this week asking about making sure that they're having the technology that they need in order to reach out to their students and support them.
How will paraprofessionals be supporting our kids during classes and or during asynchronous learning?
So that'll look different for every student, and that is one of the benefits of completing the continuous learning individualized plan, so we can have that conversation with our families and discuss what that will look like, both within an asynchronous learning environment and within a synchronous learning environment. So Sonia, we have about time for 2 more questions.
Yes, I was going to say that. I am a Metro school teacher. My daughter is not able to use a device independently. Her IEP specifies her to have a one-on-one. We have to be in a class at the same time and she is in my grade. What can I do to make sure that she has the help that she needs?
I recommend really working with your teachers just to make sure that all of the supports are outlined and that the schedule that's outlined in the clip is which appropriate for your child and will best meet the needs of you and your family. Really rely on those teachers and collaborate with them, and you all can develop the plan that's appropriate for you and your student.
Okay, I think that's about it. It is 7:59.
Deborah, this is Karen. Could I make one last statement?
Please, please, please.
Great. I saw a couple of questions about how to ask for an IEP team meeting, and I wanted to go back to what Ty said, is that nothing in the IDEA or the special education process changed as far as your rights. So the same way that you would ask for an IEP team meeting previously is the same way that you would ask for an IEP team meeting now. And so contact your principal or your special education teacher, ask for an IEP team meeting, put that in writing, give some dates when you're available, and just, I think that's a good thing to continue to stress, that the rights that you had to have IEP meetings and how to get those and the things that you discuss are none of that has changed.
Thank you, Karen, for reiterating that. We appreciate that. We want to thank everybody for taking the time to meet with us tonight. We look forward to having more opportunities to do this. We look forward to our Exceptional Ed Family Advisory Council Town Hall that will happen mid-August. I especially want to thank Karen and Patricia for joining us tonight. Patricia, I'm sorry we couldn't work it out, but we're definitely going to be needing you for when we record our Spanish version. So thank you. It's been an awesome partnership with STEP and really working together to make sure that families truly understand that we are doing what's best for students and that we want to support you and work with you and continue to advocate together for all students. I also would like to thank Dr. Battle for joining us tonight. We appreciate all the support that she has provided to all students and to the Department of Exceptional Education and to students with disabilities. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you to the entire team, to the entire special education team. You guys are awesome. And thank you to all of our wonderful families for choosing MNPS. And we will make this a great, successful year. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.